In the last episode, we talked about the things that lead to self-doubt and negative self-talk. You know, all those annoying little voices in our head that tell us we can't do something. But in today's episode, I'll share why it's so important that we overcome these things to own our dreams. We'll talk about some signs that help us identify the desire to dream, and a couple reflection questions to guide us in slowing down to ask if we are feeling stuck and maybe in need of a bigger dream. So why is it super important to own our big dreams? I love this quote from writer T.S. Eliot. Whatever you think, be sure it is what you think. Whatever you want, be sure that it is what you want. Whatever you feel, be sure that it is what you feel. It's simple to go through life doing things that other people want us to do. It's simple, but not easy. Many of us make decisions, whether we realize it or not, based on the thinking of other people. Now, this is really common. So armed with the knowledge that this is often the case, we should stop and ask ourselves, is this what I want? When it comes to achieving our goals, it's important to make sure we are ready to own our decisions. But why do we need to own our decisions? Starting with why is always worth it. And so feeling inspired or motivated to pursue something and not pursuing it is an early warning sign of future regret. According to Bronnie Ware, a palliative care nurse and author of the book Top 5 Regrets of the Dying, the number one regret of those on their deathbed is they wish they had the courage to live a life true to themselves, not the life others expected of them. This makes sense, but how do we know what life is more true to ourselves? We can use jealousy as a sign. When we see someone else achieving goals similar to what we think we might like to do, and we get even the tiniest pang of jealousy, we shouldn't see this as a bad thing. Instead, we should recognize, maybe there's something here that I would like to do as well. Maybe this person is showing me what is possible beyond what I can imagine right now. Seeing people succeed in an area that we have interest in is one way to find some signs. You see someone playing music, someone you know publishes a book, or scrolling social media, we see someone coaching people in fitness and hit with a little bit of wonder of, I wonder what that would be like. It doesn't really matter what it is. What matters is that we take note of how it made us feel. If we follow little signs and omens like these by taking some action, there's no way for us to end up on our deathbed with regret. We can also use energy as a sign. If we're doing something in alignment with our dreams, it increases our energy. If we find ourselves engaging deeper and deeper in an activity and we feel better doing it, that's a good sign. We tend to get into these things so deeply that our mind doesn't even wander to all of the other to-do list items that we could do in our life. The world kind of fades away when we get lost in such moments. We lose track of time when we do these activities that we really want to own. So being inspired by others, trying things, having our energy increase, along with maybe a little bit of jealousy of what somebody else is doing, can be really good indicators that we're on the right path. To ask if we're heading a little bit toward regret, we can also ask ourselves if we're feeling stuck at all. Now, a very related story, I had a client the other day make a list of books she wants to read, and at the top of the list were 3 books: Unstuck, Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, and Unfuck Yourself. So from this list, I can quite clearly tell that edgy self-empowerment reads are in style. But more importantly, it's clear to me that many of us are struggling with patterns that hold us in place. To wonder if we're headed toward regret because we are staying stuck, we should take some time to pause and reflect on a few questions. Are you clinging to things simply because they are familiar? Do you feel like life is too repetitive? And are there things you would like to try but are hesitant to start? If you do in fact feel stuck, I have really good news. This feeling is very real, but it's actually an illusion. If you already have a sense that you are stuck, then you're well on your way to recreating yourself. Simply recognizing that you would benefit from a change is massive and is actually the first step of becoming quote unquote unstuck. Once we recognize it, the next step is all about deciding what change we want to make and ensuring we are truly ready to become the owner of our dreams. In the next episode, we'll learn 8 questions that we can ask ourselves to see if we are ready to own our big dreams. It's kind of like doing a quick check on the equipment required to prepare for a flight or an activity. And as always, in the meantime, thank you so much for listening, all the best, and just keep learning.